Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying,
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of your six-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. I'm your host, Josh Guesman, coming to you on Thursday, February 6th. The LA Galaxy out at Coachella getting the first preseason CBI minutes under the belt, the 1-1 draw with Austin. We're going to talk about the takeaways, and you know what? They're numerous. There's positives, there's negatives, there's everything you want from a preseason game that gives us something to talk about, and we'll tell you it doesn't matter, but we're going to talk about it like it does. All right? That's the lie we're all going to tell each other here in just a little bit, all right? So we want to talk about that. We want to talk about the LA Galaxy getting another striker, and we want to remind you that we are going to be live, the Panda and I, on Sunday at Coachella. We have some great guests lined up. So a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. We're glad to have him back in the fold here. It's Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. Eric, how's it going, bud?
It's going all right. We're here. We're another Thursday show, another hour of Galaxy talk. We got preseason. We got actual games to talk about. We have signings. We have people departing. You know, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, I was going to say salute, hello, handshakes. You got to learn people's names. You know, it's all sorts of, it's coming, it's going, it's everything in between. And then, of course, the now annual. This is the fourth year, by the way. Does it feel like it's 4 years for Coachella? It doesn't feel that long, right?
Yeah, it was 2020. We blinked and it's 2025. I feel like that's my measure on the way things are happening and looking back at, you know, social media memories that pops up as those things that pop up, you know, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I was like, man, how is that short of a time span ago? So I'm with you. It doesn't feel like 4 years ago, but yeah, 4 years ago when, you know, the harebrained idea of going out to Coachella, making a soccer festival, it seems to get bigger and bigger every year. We're still waiting on the music element, the party. That's not there yet.
I think maybe I'm just trying to will that into existence, you know?
Yeah, but that's part of it. This is 4 years of us dropping those hints and nudging. Maybe you're going to be at a, you know, with the people that matter, you know, presidents of the galaxy and whatnot. So maybe you can do some elbow nudges and see if we can move in that direction to make it a full-blown thing.
Yeah, I'm excited to head out there. Saw the game on Wednesday, and they were streaming. The LA Galaxy streamed it. Plus, it was on over the air. I know some people had some problem with the stream over the air, but I think it was more of a channel issue than it was a stream thing because the stream was nice. I actually watched it on YouTube TV, and that came through great, no problems. By the way, I didn't want to steal this picture, but Mike Gray has a great picture of Joe Tutino calling the game. I don't know if you've seen it. Here's the man, Joe Tutino, Hall of Famer, right? Let's all just agree and admit,
yep.
Right?
Build a statue.
Right. Hall of Famer is sitting at the top of the bleachers out in the sun. It's 81 degrees. He's got his little tiny monitor there that he's trying to, and he has his headset on and he's calling the game from and they put a little velvet red rope around him so that way, you know, he's got 3 feet on either side. Joe Tutino is a rock star.
What a legend. What a legend.
Could we not have set up a better broadcasting position for Joe Tutino, maybe, perhaps? I mean, if I'm going to criticize, maybe you could get him some shade. It's just Joe Tutino deserves shade. That's what I'm saying. Joe, okay. If Joe's agent isn't going to do it, Eric, I'm going to do it for him. Joe needs shade.
Oh, well, you got to be careful. What kind of shade are we talking about here? We're not going to throw shade Joe's way here. But part of me goes the other direction. That's kind of the magic of Joe Tutino. He'll do it in the stands. He'll do it in the rain. Wherever you put him, you just get him a microphone and get him around the LA Galaxy, and he's going to call you with preseason, MLS Cup. It doesn't matter. He's going to put magic on that microphone. So I go the other way. Joe doesn't need anything.
Right.
All he needs is that microphone and some type of transmitter to get it into our ear holes, and then we're going to be in good shape.
Joe, listen to me. Hear me out. Joe makes the trek up from San Diego whenever he comes up for games or something. How about I come down and pick you up, Joe? You sit in the right seat. I sit in the left seat. We drive up to the stadium together. We wear microphones and record the whole conversation all the way up, and we put it out as a podcast. I'm just saying, rides with Joe, on the way to the game. That to me that's money.
Done.
I'm ready for it. I just don't know why I thought of that, but Joe is a god and a legend. You know what? I'm gonna effort. I'm gonna put this out into the ether, and then maybe that'll make me do it. I want more Joe Tutino on this podcast. I don't think that's too much to ask. Joe is an amazing person, and I think I can do it. We need more Joe Tutino on here.
Yeah, we got to do it. We got to make it happen. We're champions now.
Yes.
We feel like you can get more sway. I mean, when I say we, I do mean the collective we. We are part of that 6th star.
I did nothing.
I'm throwing myself in there. So I'm going to say that we've earned it. Us guys, representing the Galaxy Podcast 6-star championship winning club. I don't know. Right. We'll claim it.
We'll figure it out. I see you have your Bishop shirt on. So I don't know that we've got to talk about the departure of Mr. Dejan Joveljic. I did have a graphic I wanted to bring up one more time just because I didn't get a chance on the last one. Kevin and I plan out shows, and then I have all this stuff, and then usually it goes sideways in the first 30 seconds, and I'm never sure what I'm going to use. But Dejan Joveljic put out on Twitter, and I believe on Instagram, he said, in 2021, I came to the United States for the first time, and I had big goals. I joined the most historic team in MLS, and I wanted to play and score in every match. I had to wait a little longer than I would have liked. I'm putting this part in. Thanks, Chicharito, but I finally showed everyone what my game is about, scoring goals and doing anything and everything for the team to win. I'd like to thank the incredible Galaxy fans for making my 4 years at the club so memorable. Special mention goes out to my teammates, the coaching, equipment, training, and medical staff, and the front office for being with me every step along the way. I'm grateful to have played for the LA Galaxy and helped the club win its 6th MLS Cup. Champions will meet again one day. I'll be seeing everyone soon, but just in different colors. Just in case we're keeping score before you can talk about Dejan Joveljic, I would like to point out, and I'm going to rewrite a little history. Miguel Berry scored the first goal for the LA Galaxy. I know Gabriel Pec towed it over the line, but it was 3/4 of the way over. So Miguel Berry scored the first goal. So that's Miguel Berry 1 goal, Dejan Joveljic 0, right? He had 31 minutes at the game right after the LA Galaxy played for Sporting Kansas City. 0 goals for Dejan Joveljic. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe he's broken. He's heartbroken, clearly. But what about you? Are you heartbroken?
How quickly we forget. You're already burying Dejan and throwing him under the Miguel Berry bus there. And we'll talk about that goal because what a beautiful cluster it was if you saw those highlights of that preseason game. But class act from Dejan from that post. No shade, nothing, terrible, speaking ill of the club. You can tell that it was just kind of a parting of ways. We predicted this a little bit, and I felt like we were taking crazy pills a little bit because it felt like we were the only ones who knew that this price tag on Dejan was going to be something that either someone was going to come and poach him or he was going to ask for more money. Given the season that he had, he proved himself, and we kind of anticipated that this move was going to come. So am I heartbroken? Yeah, I'm wearing my Bishop shirt. I learned to love the guy from what he joined the club and was coming off the bench and scoring goals in the super sub role and making the Galaxy fans clamor to want more of him. That's how you earn your, legend status, is when you get the people asking for more and then he keeps delivering. The Panda mentioned it on Monday's show that he showed up in big games. When you needed him in the big moments, Dejan was there. When, you didn't need him, Dejan was there. And so this is an interesting move just because we're going to find out, was Dejan this past season a benefactor of Ricky Puig and Joseph Paintsill and Gabriel Pec? Was he a benefactor of that where we just needed a warm body to tap in goals? Or, did he step his game up a level, which I think you and I both agree that he did. And I think the answer could be a little bit of both because as much as Dejan improved, he did benefit from that situation. But where you realize how good Dejan was is when he wasn't in the lineup, the goals did dry up a little bit. So that does show that he did have some type of magic, and maybe that shadowing Chicharito. I know you threw Chicharito under the bus on your preview, but there's something of why Chicharito was great and why, people made fun of him for being the tap-in king, but there's something about knowing where to be when it counts the most, and Dejan had that. And Dejan was definitely someone who, when you needed him, he came through in the clutch, and he'll leave a legend. Once the trophy stays in the cabinet, that's something that I've been saying is the players are going to come and go, but the trophy's going to stay. And we knew these moves were going to be coming down the line, so now it's just a matter of finding the next person who's going to fill legend status and go in there, because Dejan cemented himself as a legend, but also, as much as I'm hurt by that, last season we were talking about who's going to be the next person who's going to come in. So I think now we just move to that point where who's going to be the next person who comes in and scores goals. So Dejan, what a ride. We've loved it, but wishing him all the best and just hope he doesn't score against the Galaxy.
He will. I mean,
100%.
Again.
I think we mentioned that in our text thread, and the Cannon was involved there. Wherever you can put money, and I know we talk about the odds and anytime goal scorer, when the Galaxy play Sporting Kansas City, all the life savings, all the credits, all the whatever you got, it's got to go Dejan scoring goal, because that's going to happen.
Yeah, that feels likely for sure. Just a reminder, and let's get you all geared up for coming up on Sunday before we dive into more of the show. But Corner of the Galaxy has a live show. It is myself and the Panda. We will be there Sunday, February 9th. This is at Coachella Valley Invitational. The game, the LA Galaxy versus Charlotte FC, kick off at 10 a.m. That means that our show will probably start right around 11:45 or 11:50 immediately after the LA Galaxy's match with Charlotte. Scheduled to be on there, Mr. Will Kuntz, general manager, Kobe Jones, of course, just getting the statue, and we're always glad to have Kobe the legend on with us as well. Greg Vanny, Tom Braun, I think we have all those. Possibly a Tom Bogert, the mustache man himself, could be showing up, where we've been communicating, and I think he'll be around, so I think you can probably count on that one happening as well, plus an LA Galaxy player that will pull after the game as well. So as soon as that game is over, start making your way over towards the podcast. If you're looking for where we are in the same place we were last year. If you were there last year, that'll be easy for you to find. But basically, as you look at the field, it'll be field 1. It will be in that top area. Whenever you look at the stands, there's a little tent that will be set up over there. So we'll have it. You can look at where it is right off of field 1, right next to the bleachers that are on the end line. And so you can go there, and that's where you can find us, and that's where we will start this show and hopefully have a nice little show. People are asking, Eric, and I will say we are efforting. We're going to try to get it on some sort of stream somehow. It's basically probably just going to be off the phone. But it's not going to be anything fancy. It's not going to be multiple cameras. We're not going to, the COG doesn't have that budget.
That's stepping up the game for the live show, getting the live stream going. So again,
we're trying.
Good luck.
We're trying. We'll see if the limiting factor out there, of course, will be cell phone coverage, and sometimes it's not great. So anyway, come on out. Tickets are like $35, I think, general admission. So come on out and check that out. We'd love to see you there. We will be around before the game. We'll be there after the game. So we are there to talk and say hi and do all that fun stuff. We want to be there, and we're so excited the Galaxy are inviting us back. So thank you to the LA Galaxy for doing that. The schedule coming up for Coachella Valley Invitational on Saturday is the next day of games. So Saturday, February 8th, the Galaxy won't be playing, but you have Austin and St. Louis, San Diego and New York City, San Jose and New York Red Bull. You have Portland and Chicago. And then you get to Sunday, which of course is Super Bowl Sunday, but we're going to have you done before all that fun. So at 10 a.m., the game will start. So early breakfast with the LA Galaxy, which will be nice. Everybody will get out there. Maybe we'll see a 45 or 60-minute performance from some of these guys. Maybe it's another 45. We'll sort of watch to see how that stretches out. We'll talk about the game here in a second, sort of tell you why we think maybe there's a little bit of progression there. After that, you can stick around, or you can start heading home for the Super Bowl, however you want to do it. But 11:30 a.m., it will be Minnesota United and Sporting Kansas City. There's games on the 12th. There's games on the 15th. The Galaxy play on the 12th and the 15th. And that Saturday, 15th, will be a good one against Chicago Fire. So that'll be interesting. And then the NWSL stays on Sunday the 16th and Saturday the 22nd. You have NWSL games out there as well. So that is what's going on. But of course, we're going to be out there, the Panda and I, ready and willing to talk about the LA Galaxy and hopefully have some great guests that can tell us all sorts of fun stuff. We're excited to be invited out once again, and so we've got some stuff planned. We're ready to go. Possibly an MLS Cup sighting as well. Perhaps. Maybe I'll just hold the cup the entire time. Maybe that's something I'll do as well.
Yeah.
But
hey, say hi to her for me, huh?
I will. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, and shout out to you, star-studded show. Kobe Jones, the statue man himself, the coach. You got the whole gang. Kuntz, Braun. This is a star-studded lineup. I mean, when you talk about live shows and getting the good guests, you got the good stuff there. And then of course we know that there's usually a player who comes off the field to make it work. So maybe we'll get a new striker. Maybe his first on-air experience
that could be
on COG. Hey. You never know what could happen.
Kevin and I have been depending on who plays. I mean, maybe you could get like a Joseph Paintsel. Maybe you could get a Maya Yoshida. Maybe you could get a Marco Royce. All those things. There are options out there. We're just waiting to see who hits the field, who's healthy, all that fun stuff. So let's talk about the game a little bit, though, because it's always interesting. I know with all the departures going out and coming back in, Eric, there are thoughts that the LA Galaxy are in a bit of a situation, right? Mark Delgado's not there. Gaston Brugman's not there. Dejan Joveljic is gone. Jalen Neal is gone, right? So you've lost
Puig is hurt.
Yeah, Puig is hurt, right? So you're not going to see Ricky Puig. I got told, in fact, there was somebody who went on to my Instagram and copy and pasted his comment to like 3 different things that were exactly the same. I'm like, dude, I can read it once. It's fine. But basically, this team isn't good enough. They'd be lucky to make the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, I know it feels that way. I know it feels like you've seen the team swirling down the drain because most people have PTSD. Eric, you and I have talked about it. Last year, this time, we were like, the Galaxy are at 0. Where can they go from here?
I was going to say, speaking of copying and pasting, you can copy and paste that comment for last season. If you saw the performances at the Coachella Valley Invitational, you'd say, man, I don't know if this Galaxy team is going to get it together. So I think it's way too soon to start ringing those alarm bells. You have to trust the process. I feel like a broken record saying this, but we've saw what the front office can do once they've reloaded a team and kind of built something to perfection and they were able to get an MLS Cup. So we have to see the players that fit in there and trust that it's going to work itself out. Now, MLS Cup, that's a high bar, and maybe that's too high of a bar to ask them to repeat and do it all over again. But I'll tell you what, when you look at that starting lineup and you think about the players that have moved out and the players that are currently injured, it's not terrible. There's the cabinet isn't as bare as maybe we're led to believe, because Brugman, wasn't your everyday starter throughout the season. Delgado, I loved him. He was an integral piece, but I think the way you can kind of mix and match, and even Vanny, towards the end of the season found some other options to make that work. With Joveljic, we're going to see what happens with, the new striker who comes in, if they can make up that difference on where it goes. I don't think it's going to be as terrible as maybe it seemed. It feels bad because of the players that left. But I think when you see the starters that are still there, Yoshida and Garces, we saw what they can do. Yamane's still there. You have Aude there. So you're basically, your entire back line is no changes there in terms of how you ended the season, with the exception of Aude and Nelson. And you can argue whether that's a downgrade or not. And then those pieces in the midfield, we're basically just making sure that it's held together until Puig comes back halfway through the season or closer to the end, so you can get hot at the right time. So I'm not as down on this team, and you're definitely not going to be down on this team after 45 minutes, against an Austin FC team in Coachella. I just don't think you can measure this team. You're going to have to see them grow into the season like they did last year.
The LA Galaxy put out a starting lineup. It includes Micovic in goal, Yamane, Cerrillo, Fagundes, Pec, Nelson, Zavaleta, Ramos Jr., Winder is in there, Garces, and Barry. So missing Joseph Paintsel in there was sort of, I think, the big one. Saw him on pictures on the bus. So we'll sort of watch and see when he finally decides to sort of make that. But one of the guys who was there, definitely Gabriel Pec. And so a lot of the offense going through him. Here's the thing about the 1-1 draw. First of all, in the 45 minutes that was mostly first team versus mostly first team, the LA Galaxy dominated it at times. They gave up some chances that Micovic had to make a save. Micovic had 2 or 3 really good saves. I think 2 in the first half. 2 really good saves. The Galaxy defense, like little scrambly balls that bounced in between and, sort of like, oh, somebody pounced on it. Austin had 1 good build-up where I thought they slid somebody in between and got a shot off, and Micovic was able to handle it. I'll tell you one thing. We're in Goalie-wars for the LA Galaxy right now. There is a goalie competition. And
I was going to say, is there something to read about Micovic getting the start there?
I mean, McCarthy played the second 45. McCarthy started the first, preseason game that they had, right? And then that type of thing. I don't know that there's anything there. I just... the 4 goalkeepers isn't a thing that happens. So it's one of those where I'm going to continue to be like, there's 1 too many goalkeepers, so where's that goalkeeper going to go? And we've talked about JT Marcinkowski possibly having the rehab assignment, so maybe they're just going to hold on to him because they know how good of a goalkeeper he can be. Maybe he's the number 2 next time. Is it wrong of me? And understand that I really like John McCarthy. Is it wrong of me to be like, Micovic should be the number 1? Let's pull the Band-Aid off and make this happen this year, because I feel like distribution is there. I feel like shot saving is there. I feel like he's earned the time. The Galaxy invested the money. This is, by the way, doesn't it feel similar to last year whenever there was an extra goalkeeper and everybody's sort of like, hey, what's happening? And then eventually a goalkeeper got moved. Jonathan Bond ended up a mutual termination on the contract and everything moved away. And there's a thing, it's certainly, and I know we've been talking a lot about Moneyball, but it's funny how it happens sometimes. But if you remember in the movie where Brad Pitt's character, Billy Bean, basically says, no, you have to start Hatteberg at first base. And he's like, no, the coach is like, no, it's my job. And the whole day he's like, well, like you can't because I traded away all your other guys. Like sometimes the GM brings in
force the move.
It forces the move, sort of like, hey, you have 4 of them, so you're going to have to get rid of one. Which one? It would really help us cap-wise if we did this or that. Not saying John McCarthy doesn't deserve to be there. And that's the hard part about it is this is a cutthroat business. Yeah. But if you invested, $1 million in a transfer fee on Micovic and you see the way that he plays and you sort of see the stuff, isn't it time the Galaxy grow with him? Because if you're going to sell him, then isn't it now? Aren't you in the next couple of years you want to get him up and making money?
That's where I think maybe we can go full conspiracy theory and get the tinfoil hats going here. But you asked the question, is it wrong of me to say just start Micovic and rip that Band-Aid off? And I'm going to say, yes, it is wrong of you. Just because we saw what McCarthy did last season. He earned that starting spot. He won you a championship. He was between the sticks when it mattered. And to take that away from him seems cruel. We did talk about last season, maybe there being more of rotation. So maybe you do start to see more of an actual rotation, but that doesn't always end well if you want to go for it. So where my tinfoil hat comes in.
Yes.
If you start to showcase Micovic, whether it's in preseason or the beginning of the season or however you want to go, we know that he's been unhappy with his minutes.
Right.
So if you start the season, okay, we're going to showcase you. This is your time. And then maybe come summer, someone comes knocking for Micovic and, it's time to part ways from there. He lost his Serbian buddy and Dejan Joveljic, and maybe he's not going to be as happy with the Galaxy. So you say, hey, we're going to showcase you so other clubs can see what you got. And then maybe he's the one who come summertime, finds a different landing place, and then McCarthy can kind of slide back in and be the number 1 again. That means, it's just a guy talking from Texas about a team in Carson, California.
Just a guy.
Just speculation. But that's could be an option as well, because Micovic, to your point, that's your asset where, a European team, and again, here we are bashing the guy, and I'm trying to defend John McCarthy as best I can, but a European club is not going to come knocking for John McCarthy, at least.
How dare you, sir?
Optics in.
Yes.
That doesn't mean he's not. Maybe they should. Maybe he is the one that they should.
Just keep backtracking. Just keep circling the corner. Yes.
But I don't know. I love John McCarthy and what he did last season. So I just don't think you could take it away from him. But I do see your point that with the investment at some point, you gotta play Micovic and showcase him. So where is that? And does that cause friction? Does it cause problems in the locker room? Is McCarthy, have the fortitude enough to say, I know what's happening here and I'm going to let it play itself out?
Right.
You're right. It's cutthroat and it's no fun. So again, here's the hammer, playing both sides of it, where
Yes.
I could see both sides, but I just don't think you could take it away from McCarthy.
It's difficult. This is why we are not we're not Greg Vanney, we're not Will Kuntz, right? Like this is I would hate to make, but we're sitting there. I mean, the brain says something needs to happen here, right? There's too many goalkeepers. The heart says leave John McCarthy alone, and I'll fight anybody who wants to come after him. So it's just interesting to see how that's going to play out. I think it will play out. Again, could the Galaxy have 4 goalkeepers? Sure. I mean, 2 of them are probably going to be non-rostered anyway. So like you could have them. It not going to stop anything.
It's not going to change anything.
No, it probably doesn't hurt you cap wise because you're only going to keep 2 of them on the cap anyway. And so, you have,
and they're not salaries that are,
they're not gigantic.
are going to, make or break your difference to bring in someone else. So that's maybe it is. Maybe they are going to hold on to 4.
Yeah, I mean, Micovic right now at 150 and McCarthy at 290. So you can cut it in half if you sort of do that. Again, these are 2024 numbers, so we'll see how those change. But yeah, 290 and 150. Here's the thing. Let's just pretend we were going to just do it on the money. Is John McCarthy twice the goalkeeper as Novak Micovic? And did you pay $1 million for? But then you also have to include like the $1 million that you paid for Micovic whenever you did. So it's like, well, he's really worth a lot more probably than the 152, as well. So I don't know. I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy. Wishing.
You saw where I was going with
that. Yeah, I did. I'm just a goalkeeper. I'm just John McCarthy standing in front of Greg Vanney, asking him to love him.
To be his starting goalkeeper once again.
100%. The problem with all that, Eric, is that the movie that we are quoting, half the people who listen to this podcast have never heard of before. We are that old. I don't even want to say the movie. I turned that movie on recently, and you know how like you get that shock of how old it looks, like right at the beginning? You're like, when was this made? And then you go back and you're like, this is a while ago. This is a long time. So anyway.
Are you ready to be hurt? Because I've got a tangent that's related to that.
Please.
Right. So I'm with, 5th graders, 9 and 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds
all day long. Where you normally hang out, just yes.
In a classroom environment, I'm certified. It's all clear. Background checks have been done. But we went to 5th grade camp. That's why I was gone last week. And so coming back, everyone's kind of out of it. So you know what? I don't play this card very often, but I was going to be the teacher who plays the movie in class. Nice. So okay. What did I, needs to be a G movie. What comes to mind? I haven't watched Wall-E in a while. I was like, you know what? Wall-E, good, clean fun. I'm going to put Wall-E on. Yeah. I said, all right, guys, we're going to watch Wall-E. What's Wall-E?
What?
I was like, Wall-E is new in my brain. And to these 5th graders, they had no idea what Wall-E was, who Wall-E was, and they were just completely lost on the concept of that movie. And I was like, man, I'm really losing it. I'm losing my touch here. So again, there's only certain things that you can watch, Disney G movies that still work. But man, not knowing Wall-E really, it hit me right there.
Well, for 5 years, we haven't let my youngest, or we just never went to the movies. One, don't go to the movies that much anymore. But we'd never taken him to movies, so we've started taking him to the movies now. And now he wants to see every movie that's in the movies all the time. So we went, we went and saw Sonic 3 because that's really what he wanted to see. Saw Sonic 3, solid flick. I only slept for 20 or 30 minutes in there. You put me in a movie theater in comfortable chairs, I'm going to sleep. Okay, that's just how that works.
That's fair.
So we saw that one. We saw Mufasa, and now we're starting to like get into the groove of seeing all these movies again. But man, I'm like, where's the opening Disney credit that sort of hits you? You're like, oh, remember when I saw The Little Mermaid in the theaters or stuff like that? It was like 40 years ago, dude. Like it's so long ago, it's ridiculous. Anyway, side tangent over.
Yeah, sometimes tangent of the day.
So goalkeeper wise, that's something to watch. McCarthy had some good saves in the second half. Micovic had some good saves in the first half. As far as I can see so far, neck and neck. And by the way, McCarthy had to probably put up with more crap because the guys who were out there in the second half didn't know each other and didn't play.
It was a little bit messier than your average MLS game.
It was rough. It was the second half at some points was unwatchable, but we stick in the first half, and I think we have to point out some guys. Yamane just came in. I don't think we considered Yamane could take a step forward and be even better, right? That was something like, you're like, he's playing at his level. You're good. I'm good. Everybody's good. We're fine with that. We don't need anything else. Yamane is going to take a step forward. I think he's going to be even better. Yeah. And the way that they're having him fold into that 6 whenever he comes into the side and tucks in, which he did all last year, it just causes so many problems for teams. And then we saw him like dribbling through people and slaloming and passing off, and he Pec's over there, and Pec and Yamane look like they've been holding hands and singing Kumbaya the whole off season, right? They've been at Bible study every day together, right?
Yeah, you don't want those two, coming your way. That's just a danger. This is going to be my weekly segment where we relive MLS Cup memories. I wanted him to get that goal in MLS Cup so bad. He had that moment towards the end of the match. It would have been the goal to seal it.
Right.
To me, if we're going to start campaigning for Defender of the Year, the vote that happens in November and December, we're going to start here in February. I think Yamane needs to be on the radar for Defender of the Year. Fair. Because I think he was in the conversation, should have been there last season. And I think just to your point, what he's going to bring offensively, the step up that he can make, and just everything that he does. He was one of the Galaxy Ironmen who just every game you knew exactly what you were getting. You were getting a consistent performance. And I think the next level that we're going to unlock is the 1 or 2 goals that he's going to get, or the involvement there. And I think he's going to have a heck of a season. And the fact that back line remains untouched for the most part, and him overlapping with Pec, I'm with you. This is why I'm not as down on this Galaxy team. There are pieces missing, and maybe it's at its core, right, and maybe you still need someone to pull the strings, but a lot of the pieces from last season are there, and I think Yamane, I'm going to start right now. Let's make the campaign Yamane Defender of the Year, because I don't think he's going to do anything to make us think otherwise. To the John McCarthy point, you can't take it away from until Yamane does something where you go, oh man, where did it go wrong? I think you have to keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah, Yamane, certainly one of those. Cerrillo playing a little bit of the playmaker role in this particular game. Cerrillo looked great, just looked comfortable, looked like he was finding, and he's another one. You want to watch somebody who's going to take a step forward. I think Cerrillo can take a step forward. So Yamane can move forward. I think Cerrillo can move forward. We saw Pec. Is it stupid to say this? I watched this first half and I said, again, I assumed that Pec was at his level. Like you got Pec. He was hitting full stride. No. It's 45 minutes and a half in the desert against like the first preseason game that Austin played, and Austin looked bewildered by Gabriel Pec. And Pec was just like slaloming through guys, just turning people, sitting them down, like the whole deal. It looks like Pec didn't even take a day off. Right?
He probably didn't.
No, he just stayed. He just stayed in full game form, ready to go. So he was in there. So I think he can take a step forward. So I really enjoyed watching him again. It's almost like I forgot what it was like to watch Gabriel Pec play, and especially with no Paintsel on the left hand side. So it was very much on the right hand side. That's where the attack was going to come from. Yeah,
this is going to be. It's weird to say when he was breakout player of the season last season, but this is going to be his time to shine, really. With Puig out, I think Pec can go up another level, and that's where you start to think about these players' ages. And Pec is still very young, and so when you think about player development and when players start to hit their primes, it's really 26, 27 years old. So it's crazy to think with the breakout season that Gabriel Pec had last season, that was him kind of figuring it out, and now we're going to get him in a mode where he understands what the league is. He understands the competition. He knows the level that he is at and can improve on. I think you're going to see him take another step, which is crazy with how good of a season he had. But that's exciting to me. Is he going to be able to make that next leap, and why maybe we didn't hear about offers coming his way this offseason, where we thought, well, the season he had, someone from Europe is going to come knocking, but maybe it was all intentional to, the Galaxy and Will Kuntz and the front office knowing what they have. Hey, we're going to hold on to him because we know there's still another level to even cash in even more. So, to look at it from that perspective, I think the stock is going to rise from it.
Will Kuntz is answering the phone. Who? Gabriel Pec, who? I'm sorry. Click, ding, the whole deal. No, there's none of that. So certainly watching Gabriel Pec was interesting to watch there. John Nelson getting the start over Aude in terms of with the starting roles doesn't surprise me. I think that's going to be a battle that goes back and forth for a little bit. I think Aude eventually wins that, but I still think that Aude has to find game speed, game form, all that stuff that's sort of going. So we'll watch that as that goes. He played in the second half, but again, with the just jumble of players and positionings and things like that. I took very little from the second half. So that was one. Eric Zavaleta, everybody's favorite person to hate, was out there. No notes.
You need Zavaleta. Maybe you can get him. Maybe he's the player that speaks at the live show. I think that's what your goal should be.
I think we can probably make that happen. For sure. Ramos Jr. was in there. Like some of his buildup, Ruben Ramos Jr., he's younger. You saw some shots that you wish would have found the frame, because I think he had some shots from the top. Galaxy causing all sorts of problems by running out the sides and then cutting back to the top of the box. The cutback was there. Cerrillo had a chance. Ruben Ramos Jr. had a chance. Winder had a chance. I'll talk about Winder here in a second. So there were chances and goals there for the Galaxy. Diego Fagundes just missed a curler coming from the left side, cutting into the right. Just needed a little more hook. If that's a regular season game, that ball hooks a little bit more, and I think it goes into the net. So you saw a lot of good stuff there. Again, Miguel Berry playing at the 9, sure, whatever. Just worked his butt off and did all the things you wanted them to do.
The goal went in when he was on the field. To your point,
he was there.
They all count. He was there. He was in the mix. I used to have a coach who would say, "Put it in the mixer." Sometimes you need to put it in there, and good things will happen if you put it in the mixer, and it's going to bounce off a leg, and you're going to make it happen. So, hey, Miguel Berry doing what he needs to do. I also want to set the table to the Ruben Ramos Jr. of it all. Setting the table for campaigning Yamane Defender of the Year. And then I'm also going to set the table for Ruben Ramos Jr. being your Jose Villarreal, Efrain Alvarez youngster who's going to become the player that all of fans are going to start clamoring, hey, we need to see more minutes for this guy.
Yes.
I think he's going to slide into that role this season.
I am extremely high on Elijah Winder. Give me more Winder right now. Big body, lanky, eats up turf, just gobbles the turf up, has the speed to be able to play with the guys around him. Whenever you talk about Pec and Paintsel, is he as fast as them? No. Is he slow? He's not slow. He'll move. Defensively is where he shines more than anything else. And I love that a big, tall body plays really good defense through the middle. Stuffed Austin coming through the middle multiple times. Tracked runners well. He got caught on one. Again, a little bit of a scramble. If I'm him, I'm going towards the ball there too, and it got sort of slid sideways, and Austin ended up getting a shot off. But the other thing was on corner kicks. With no Yoshida in there and that type of thing, Winder was the primary target, and that's nice to have a guy who could possibly be playing in the middle. I think the Galaxy saw something in Winder. Again, one of the top players in USL Championship. You go out and get him. You're wondering, Eric, is this guy capable of playing professionally, like at the top leagues, right? You're like, is there going to be a step? Can he match the game speed? Can he match the physicality? Can he match all these things? The answer so far in 45 minutes, emphatically yes. As a matter of fact, get me more Winder. I think that's going to be one of these. He's going to be one of those guys. He's not going to start, but he's going to come off the bench. I think he can really do some damage in Major League Soccer, and this is a guy who maybe he ends up with like 4 or 5 goals on the on the season, and off the bench type of guy. Really, really, really want to see more of him. I want to go see him in person, so hopefully he plays on Sunday, so I can see him. It's a bunch of these guys I want to see like in person and see how it progresses as well. Yeah. But was really impressed with Winder. Just seemed to understand where Greg Vanney wanted him to be. And then you look at Sean Davis, who was a guy who they traded, and he was on the second team where Winder's playing with the first team, and you're sort of like, I think Winder might even start over Sean. It would be one of those. I don't know where the pecking order is yet, but I'm high on Winder.
I was going to say, you're in the Elijah Winder fan club. When that signing happened, I thought nothing of it. I thought depth piece. I didn't think this was going to be something that was going to be a game-changing move. But now that you mention it, I think you mentioned a stat. I don't know if it was on the Monday's show or Thursday's show with his defensive duels or defensive tackles. When you go to look at stats after the game to see if it confirms what your eyes saw, that percentage is not something that you normally see. So the fact that he's going to be someone who, to your point, what you said, stuffs the midfield, is more of that defensive piece. It makes you think, okay, they let Brugman go, they let Delgado go. Is this someone who they saw, I can get someone at the USL level who can do everything that those players did, and the price is going to maybe be a lot more friendly to our cap. And this is going to sound like it's bashing MLS,
yes,
but I think the gap between a USL and MLS is getting smaller.
Maybe.
And I think that when you have an all-star in USL and you're able to pluck them and drop them in MLS, I don't think there's going to be as big of a drop off. We talk about it all the time. Too good for LA Galaxy 2, not good enough for LA Galaxy 1. And I think when you had those B teams or the two teams that are connected to MLS clubs, there was a truth to that statement. But when you talk about the club like he came from Louisville, where they're not attached to an MLS club, right. Your Phoenixes, your Las Vegas, Louisville, these clubs that kind of operate in their own professional infrastructure, I think the players who are there close the gap a little bit more than maybe someone who you'd see from your LA Galaxy 2. So I think whoever was scouting him saw something to where you're able to replace the players that you lost. So, I like I said, I didn't think anything of it, but now that you're high on him, you're mentioning those stats, and it's kind of starting to show itself. I think we have someone who, as crazy as it is to say, could be your Delgado and Brugman replacement, if not in depth, with Ricky gone, could find himself on the field a lot more.
Well, a little behind the scenes, I was on Soccer Wise podcast previewing the LA Galaxy with David Gass, and we got Doyle on there as well. I think Tom Bogert's part of that Soccer Wise stuff too. It was
the big boys.
Yeah, it was just David and I talking about the Galaxy, and it was great. But he was sort of saying, you're talking about Winder, who is playing at a team where they played like meaningful soccer. They played meaningful soccer all the time.
That's the gap that I'm mentioning.
Yeah. So it's not like you're getting a guy who doesn't know, but can you make the step? Can you take it up? And so far, it doesn't even look like the game's that fast for him. It's finally like at a speed he can work at, right? That type of thing. It's like, oh, this is where I belong. Oh, that's right. I can play it this late. So we'll see about that. The interesting part was Cerrillo being more of the 10, being more of the playmaker, trying to feed balls through and having some success at it. Greg Vanney talked about it, earlier in the preseason, saying maybe Cerrillo is that guy more than ends up being, anybody else, which is an interesting take to sort of look at that way.
And also with his age, I talked about Pec being young and having another, jump to make. I think Cerrillo fits in there. We saw him sliding in more of that, DM spot. But we saw what he can do when he moves himself forward as well. That LAFC goal being the one, stand out in your mind. Maybe Cerrillo's jump is to become a more offensive player. Who's to say that that's not the route that he goes in the future as he starts to develop. So I think that there's something to that.
This game got chippy as well, which was interesting. And Mr. Diego Fagundes against his former team had some words for one Alexander Zvatak. There was a foul by Diego. It was a little foul, that type of thing. Yeah. But Diego went to run back behind Zvatak, and Zvatak like speared him from behind with his like.
It looked weird. Again, I wasn't able to watch the full game live. Right. I saw a lot of the clips, right. But it was just an awkward when you screenshotted the tackle. Again, not this screenshot that you're showing. It was an awkward, collision of bodies. It was strangely physical in this game. For a preseason game, I saw Gabriel Pec pass the ball and then like a full one beat and then just feet taken out from underneath him. And you're like, where's that? I mean, there were yellow cards in this game, like there was like 5 or 6 of them, right? So a weird one, but Diego Fagundes going back and not taking any crap from anybody, by the way. If you want to talk about a guy who's fired up, it's Diego Fagundes. There is a rumor, and I think that it's probably a fair rumor at the time, and I don't know if it's still active, but that the Galaxy were possibly looking to move Diego Fagundes as well, right? Now, I would imagine that both Mark Delgado and Diego Fagundes were sort of on the shop block, right, for the offseason. Now that one's gone, I don't know that that's necessarily still the case, but we talk about high salary. But one of the reasons that Diego Fagundes probably still stays around as well, because he's on a $1.3 million salary. It's not cheap for a guy who his age, who's now, he's 29. So, he's coming into this year at 1.3, it's still a high salary, but one of the reasons that we think Diego Fagundes sticks around is because he's versatile at so many different positions. And so I still think that if I had a choice between Delgado and Diego Fagundes, understanding the versatility that Fagundes gives you, even though I am absolutely like the biggest Mark Delgado, stan, I think that Diego Fagundes is sort of better for that Swiss Army knife that he can do, and he can play across any position. So we saw him on the left wing. He can play in the center at the 10. He could play up top at the 9. You can put him on the right. Like, it doesn't matter. You can put him anywhere basically in the top 5 positions there, and he's going to be able to take care of it. And so, but seeing him come out with a little fire,
little angst. Getting on social media and clapping back at some guys already. Those darn podcasters always stirring the pot. So I like it.
There were some, LAFC, some rival fans who were trying to go at him, and Fagundes was right there, with the social media clapback, which you love to see. And I think there's an element to his game that has always had the chip on his shoulder and wanting that something there. And not that this is done intentionally, but I think there's something about him not being your everyday starter and, DPs needing to get injured. And in order for him to get his moment, there's something about that that's part of his game that I think elevates him to another level where he knows, hey, now I'm getting my moment to shine. Now I need to step up and show what I can do. He's been a solid player everywhere he's went. So now it's just he has that extra piece because for whatever reason, he's not the person that everyone is, attaching their anchors to. And so that's something that I think fuels him and that he plays well. And we saw that with last season, and nothing has changed from last season to this season in terms of, now Diego Fagundes is our starting, midfielder.
Right.
That's not the expectation. So he knows that he still has to go out there and prove himself every single game, which is a benefit from a Galaxy fan perspective because he's going to go out there and leave it all on the field.
Yeah, you're looking for that. I'm trying to see Barry, Garces, Winder. Okay, pretty much everybody there. Then halftime comes around, Galaxy leading 1-0. It was off of, like I said, a streak by Yamane, a pass over to Fagundes. Fagundes slips in for, I believe it's Ruben Ramos Jr., who then centers the ball back into Miguel Barry, who tips it almost over the line before Gabriel Pec smashes a little Christian Wilhelmsen there and Robbie Keane. So
you're giving everyone involved maybe a little too much credit. I think there was a lot of bodies in there. It was where things went sideways. Not the prettiest goal. It was about as a preseason goal as you can get.
It was a beautiful goal as far as anybody's. You know what?
Bangers only.
Scorecard doesn't show how it happened. All right,
That's fair.
It's a line drive up the middle or a dinker past the pitcher. Either way, scores the run. It's a single either way, right?
I'll go back to the chippiness of this game. Also, I think if we remember the last time that the Galaxy faced Austin was the Ricky Puig red card incident. Where there was the lunging tackle that looked pretty dangerous and it created a lot of stir on social media afterwards. So again, players don't forget who were on the field. So maybe there was a little bit of that where, Austin maybe was tired of seeing some of the stuff on social media going at their players and they had that little extra fire. But there's also the element where the Galaxy are now defending champions and you're not going to sneak up on anyone this season. I think everyone's going to come. They know who Gabriel Pec is. They know who Joseph Paintsil is, and it's not just going to be Ricky getting those tackles now. I think you're going to see, Pec and Paintsil are going to have to watch those ankles because players are going to be gunning for them.
I will say this. I thought at times the LA Galaxy were absolutely dominant. Great build-up play, great movement. They trapped Austin in their final third a bunch of times, so getting that second, third ball. Some finishing needed to be acquired here. You needed some guys to put the ball in the back of the net, and that didn't happen, so you get the one. It probably could have been 2 or maybe 3 for the LA Galaxy. Having said that, Micovic made some good saves on the other side, but on limited chances, I would say, from Austin. Austin gets the goal on the other side after the line change. Everybody rotated out. So McCarthy was in, Cuevas played, Magana was in, Isingwe was in there, Aude, Davis, Sean Davis, Tucker Lepley, Parente, and a whole bunch of other guys were in there. One of the guys I wanted to highlight was Ellis Spickner out of Oregon State. He was out there. I think he's a trialist right now for the LA Galaxy, just sort of looking at, but he had some good runs, and I was sort of watching him a little bit. The second half was very unwatchable. Greg Vanney talked afterwards about how he had to yell a lot more in the second half because, the guys weren't in the positions that he wanted. But having said that, Greg was sort of in the position where he's like, I kind of just sat back and let the guys do their thing in the first half, right?
Roll the ball. Sometimes you just need to roll the ball out and let them go. So again, Ellis Spickner, is that a name we're going to need to know?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is his moment.
This could be his moment, right? Remember, Tucker Lepley played himself onto the team last year, right?
I was going to say that. I was going to say Tucker. Is he this year's? Yamane, Defender of the Year,
right?
Ruben Ramos Jr., or Jose Villarreal, Efren Alvarez, young player,
right?
Spickner is your Tucker Lepley.
Could be your Lepley of this season. I don't know. Just let's watch him and see how he continues. But he was lively. He was active. I was going to say there was Parente had a great drive through. Basically, an Austin defender tried to two-hand tackle him down to the ground, and he just kept fighting through it, and eventually got a shot off. I think it was a little off frame, but was really nice to see that physicality and fighting through things and creating the space back behind the tackle. So that was interesting to see. Now, that's my takeaways. You can say McCarthy had some good saves, Micovic had good saves. Second half was a jumble, and it was sort of like whatever. Yeah, it was like okay, which usually happens in spring training type scenarios where the starters hit the bench and everything sort of falls apart after that. So all in all, A for the Galaxy coming out. I thought they were dominant. They showed the system knowledge of knowing where to be and how to be there. Gabriel Pec is running people into the ground in preseason. I mean, it's a beautiful sight. 81 degrees, sunshine, I don't know what else you want.
Yeah, when you've got the power of the Lord running through you, there's not much you can't do. So, good on the Galaxy for looking good when it mattered to give them the 1-0 win.
And then, of course, the big news coming out from the mustached man himself, Mr. Tom Bogert. The LA Galaxy have agreed a deal to acquire forward Christian Ramirez from the Columbus Crew. From all accounts and everything I've been told, totally true, going to happen. And of course, Tom said it, so it's already true. You didn't need me to say it, right?
I was going to say, if Bogert says it's getting done, it's getting done. And all signs point to this making absolute total sense, just because when you think about Dejan leaving and knowing that you need someone to fill that gap, you look at Ramirez, and I know with the rivals, it kind of sticks in your head as he's someone who's played for the other side. You think, okay, is he the guy? But then you look at what he did in Columbus and being able to play with players around him who are able to provide.
Right.
I think that very much fits in the Dejan Joveljic role, who you can come in and slot in, and he's going to be able to do a lot of those same things. And we're going to find out, was it Dejan Joveljic or was it a product of the system where you can slot someone like Christian Ramirez in and nothing changes?
Well, there were some people who I think tend to lob criticism at Ramirez for certain things. Some sort of like, he had that one good year in Minnesota and the whole thing. I'm like, so he had 7 goals and 2 assists, and that was his good year. Last year with Columbus, he had 8 goals, 6 assists. He had 8 goals the year before, 8 goals with the year before. So 16 goals, 10 assists in the last 2 years for Ramirez. Is he a world beater? No. But what's your over-under on the amount of goals? If you think that he will benefit from the system, then I think that you could put his over-under at 13 or 14, right? In terms of how many goals he could possibly provide.
That feels high, but
yes,
but still, I think 10 might be the number. If he could hit 10, that's a success.
Well, and it's the assist side too, and what he's doing. And by the way, with Ramirez and what they're asking, the rumor right now, and it's sort of unconfirmed, is $250,000 in general allocation money. That's what we think is going to, so low on the cost wise, right? His salary wasn't very high either. I looked it up before and I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't a ridiculous salary. It wasn't cap wise, it's all good. Everything seems like that. 250, but with another 250 in bonuses and things. So Galaxy could be on the hook for 500,000 whenever it's all said and done. I believe it's going to be a general allocation money move, but it could be a Ram move, right? That's right. We're calling it Ram. I don't care.
Has that been debuted on this show yet? Have we introduced Ram?
I want to introduce Ram. We have Jam.
Breaking news. Play the jingle.
No,
get Sophie's grandfather clock. We need some noise.
Sophie's grandfather clock is pretty loud.
It cracked me up. That happened last week where you were either breaking news or something happened, and then the bell went off. I was like, "Is that a new sound effect? Did I miss something?"
Are we doing that now? Yeah. So let's try breaking. Let's break out breaking news a little bit. All right, breaking news here on Corner of the Galaxy, and we can take absolutely no credit for this whatsoever. But I was on the Soccer Wise show, and they were talking about what are we going to name this new allocation, and then on Twitter it appeared. And we have general allocation money, which is JAM. I call it JAM. People call it GAM. They're incorrect. General, which is a soft G for JAM. Just going to continue to say it until everybody's on my side. So JAM.
It's GIF.
Nope.
It's GIF and GAM. So we're fine. But moving on.
Okay. JAM, TAM, targeted allocation money, and now RAM, which is real, actual money. Real actual money is what you wanted to get it. And somebody goes, can't you just call it cash? Because it seems confusing. No, we need it to be confusing. This cannot be simple in Major League Soccer. So the RAM money, it could be RAM as well. I haven't seen, real actual money. I haven't seen the exact thing, and it hasn't been announced yet. My understanding was that Ramirez was headed back to Columbus, was going to do the stuff that he needed to do there, and then head out to CVI this weekend. So there's a good chance that you could see Christian Ramirez this weekend. One of the guys, and we can talk about Ramirez here in a little bit more, but one of the guys that you've also been seeing out at CVI was Lucas Sanabria. And my
are we allowed to say we saw it or not?
There's pictures. I don't know what you want me to do. I go, Sanabria, this was my tweet. I said, Sanabria was at CVI today signing autographs. I think the day before he got a haircut from the team barber, Manny the Barber. He took a pic.
Manny the Barber, there's your way to know what's happening with the LA Galaxy.
100%. But I mean, he's there signing autographs in LA Galaxy kit. Like he's there. He's with the team. Took a pic in front of the Beckham statue that we all saw. Like it's all the stuff. It's like, we all know he's there. And I said, at this point, the only place Lucas Sanabria hasn't been seen is behind the podium of his press conference, right? Like it's like when is that happening? So Sanabria, whenever that happens, and I don't know what the holdup is, they don't tell me, right? But I just know that he's there. You'll probably see him on Sunday. If you head down there on Sunday, you're probably going to see him. So say hi.
And he might get minutes, because we know how that works as well. My favorite situation was when Chicharito scored a goal in a scrimmage. And, we had to pretend like, when is Chicharito's first goal going to happen? And I think it was GBS at the time. I was like, didn't he score? And it's like, no, he hasn't played technically. So that's one of my favorite memories is when you had, Chicharito scoring a goal that didn't count as a goal.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't there. It was just some guy who was there. So anyway, but we get to that. So Sanabria is there. I think you're going to see Christian Ramirez here this weekend. And Ramirez, again, 33. So on the end of, but experienced. Go back and look at all the, yes, he's played for a bunch of teams, but 160 games played, 111 starts, almost 10,000 minutes in Major League Soccer, 51 goals, 20 assists. He has some playoff minutes too. This is not a guy who's not there. I'm just going to say, people are like, well, he can't be the number one. It's like, chill out. He's probably the number one for a little while.
For now. Yeah, definitely. He can definitely be the number one for now. And we were mentioning this, the element about him being a domestic player who knows the league, who knows how to play well with other players. Those are all check boxes in the A column where he is going to be your number one. And you still get to go out and shop for your U22 striker and figure out your fees where you're going to bring someone in. We're not waiting for that guy to come in to be the number one. Ramirez could absolutely be that guy, for the first half of the season, and then could turn into a depth piece as the season goes on. And I think there's a Mark Delgado element to this where it was, hometown boy comes home to kind of make his moment. Ramirez is a local, Southern California product. So I think
Garden Grove, baby.
Yeah. Coming to the Galaxy, playing for the hometown team, there's something about that little extra pride that you have when you put on the jersey of the local team, and I think you're going to get a little bit more out of him than maybe they could have got out of him in Columbus, and they were able to get things out of him in Columbus. He wasn't nothing, and I know he's our favorite guy to bash, not Zavaleta, but Barry on my side of it. But, when we brought Barry in, we said, well, he scored a couple goals. Maybe he can make things happen in Atlanta or Columbus. This is way different. Ramirez has actual goals and highlights where you can look at and say, okay, this guy can be your number one for a while. Maybe he's not someone where you put all your chips in for multiple seasons and for a full season expecting golden boot, but he is someone who you're going to get some results out of.
I just keep waiting for the Galaxy to announce Kai Kamara's. It's the only one, right?
He's the only one left.
He worked in the stadium whenever it was being built.
Dominguez Hills,
it's time. It's time. It might be time. But anyway, no, I think that Ramirez fits the style, the way the Galaxy want to play. Thinking about how Columbus played, very similar to the way the Galaxy play in terms of build up and then the ability to be direct whenever they need to. So Ramirez is used to that. So they found a pretty good slot in choice there, and I think it's going to be a good one. So Christian Ramirez coming to the LA Galaxy is a good look for the LA Galaxy. I wasn't trying to be smart. This is just basic, like, hey, what does the starting lineup actually look like? Do I have Micovic as the goalkeeper? Yes. And do the numbers match up? No, because I didn't want, who cares? It's just me spitballing here. Micovic is the number one, maybe. Nelson is the number one on the left side, maybe. But Yoshida, Garces, Yamane, Winder and Cerrillo in there maybe for a little bit. I think Sanabria eventually is going to, once we actually have him on the team, we can talk about where he's going to fit in. But box to box probably takes over for Winder maybe, or if slots in next to Cerrillo and maybe a double pivot. Are you telling me Juni and Sarvis are back, baby? It could be Cerrillo and Sanabria. Why not? Why not, I say? Why not? Paintsel out there, Pec, Fagundes in the center. I think Fagundes is going to get more time in that 10 spot than anybody else, and I think that Royce is going to come off the bench and do stuff, and I don't think you need to ask anything else from Marco Royce this year than what he did last year. And people were like, he didn't do anything last year. He did tons last year. Just stop expecting the dude to score goals all the time. He did tons and plenty, and you can bring him off the bench, and he is ready to rock and roll. So
If only Royce had every game be like our Purina live show match where he just came off the bench, involved in the goals and just, was an absolute star. They can't all be like that.
Nope.
But from your mouth to God's ears, if, Fagundes is the one who you rely on and Royce is the one who you don't need to lean on as much to have, Sophie mentioned it. We've mentioned it all the time. What a luxury to have as a depth piece, Marco Royce. And then he's going to start games. You're going to get him as a starter.
Yep.
And you're just going to have Fagundes ready to maybe come off the bench and give him those spells. Maybe don't expect full 90 minutes, multiple games at a time, especially once we get into, 3 game a week territory.
Yes.
But I don't know if we're underselling it or whatever it is, but you almost forget that Marco Royce is on this team.
And that's how it should be. I like that. Yes.
But there's going to be a moment. He's going to have his, whether it's in the playoffs or a League's Cup or what's the Campeones Cup.
Yep.
There's going to be something where Royce is going to come up big when it matters, and we're going to say, thank God that we have that guy on our team.
That's why, again, do you remember how much fun it was? And I think it scared the crap out of the other teams. It's one of the reasons that you're seeing, I think, so many players depart the Galaxy is they get ready to bring guys off the bench. Gaston Bergman comes off the bench. Marco Royce comes off the bench. Diego Fagundes comes off the bench. And you're like, what is this? Is awesome. Yeah, like this is cool, right? The whole deal. There's a reason. You can't do that in Major League Soccer for too long. So we'll see. Let's get to some super chats because we've been ignoring them because I had a game plan in my mind and people asking questions out of sequence, and then I don't like that. God, I'm so stubborn. Lasso, $10 super chat. Evening, gents. Striker by committee. Does Ramirez have 10 goals in him? Maybe a U22? I mean, striker by committee is not bad either. Here's the whole thing is, and I see people put depth charts down, and I tried to do this on Soccer-Wise as well, is the depth chart at striker doesn't go Ramirez. It doesn't go Ramirez and then Barry. That's not how the depth chart goes. It goes like Ramirez and then Pec, Paintsel, and then
Paintsel before Pec because they keep Pec on that wing,
right? And then Pec in there, and then you get to go through all these things. Then Fagundes, you get to drop through all these, and then you know what Barry is? Barry is a different type of striker than any other striker they have, and he comes in to cause problems, create chaos, and occasionally score the game-tying goal to keep the LA Galaxy undefeated at Dignity Health Sports Park. That's what
he's your victory cigar. That's where you bring him in when it's ready to light the cigar and you're ready to kill the game. What he is when he's number 2 on the chart, whoever's starting, he's the one who comes in at the end to spell them and give them their rest when they need it. So I think that's where we're at. And to Lasso's point, I don't know how I missed this super chat or when it was early on. I think 10 goals is the number for Ramirez.
10, sure.
And if he can get close to that, then you walk away saying this was a good move.
I believe that he is a good system striker for the LA Galaxy, so I'm going to tell you that I think he's going to score 13 or 14, and everybody's going to be like, wow, why didn't anybody else on this? Because they don't have the system for it. I mean, Columbus, even he would have to defer a lot. I think he's going to have to defer less with the LA Galaxy because you get Pec, because you get Paintsel. They're going to score a lot to they like to pass into that spot, and I think Ramirez can find that.
And the wrinkle, the blessing in disguise, shout out to Joseph Paintsel's blessing, is Puig being out injured is not going to draw that attention and, gobble up that ball as much. And that is going to allow Pec and Ramirez to get more touches on the ball and to be more active and be more involved. And if we are going to critique Dejan Joveljic, where he was not successful was maybe involving himself more, dropping back and being more involved in, connecting the forward to the midfield. And I think Ramirez is someone who can probably connect a little bit better than Dejan with the midfield. And maybe that's a crazy thing to say. So I think he's the type of player who maybe brings you, a different element. And that's where those goals are going to come in with Puig being gone, which is a crazy thing to say.
I think Ramirez is a little faster than Joveljic, and I'm also going to say that I think that gets him
taller as well, right?
Taller as well, but I think that gets him. I don't know if he's taller. I can't remember off the. I'll have to take a look, but I think that gets him another couple of goals. Having Joveljic, Dejan wasn't slow, but he wasn't like fast, right? So you would have, quick. So Pec and Paintsel will get way out in front of him. I think Ramirez might be able to stay with those guys a little bit more, which can be helpful in terms of when the timing comes in and how that all works. But yeah, dude, if I could play any position in the world right now, and like it would be the guy who gets to make the late runs into the box for the LA Galaxy. They're all getting collapsed on Paintsel. They all get collapsed on. Ramirez is in there driving things towards posts. Everybody's there. And like, if you're Cerrillo and you don't have 7 goals this year, like, what are you even doing with your life? So somebody fire up Edwin and tell him he's got 7-8 goals this year, because they're going to be open at the top of the box and he's going to be able to knock them home.
It's funny. I have a different guy in that role. I feel like Fagundes is the guy made for that late running in. He's the guy who's going to be able to benefit from that.
Not wrong. That's a good shot as well. David, $5 super chat. Should the Galaxy play with the B team against Vancouver being on March 2nd and the Galaxy CONCACAF Champions Cup match being on March 5th? I'll tell you this, David. I just want to see what the team looks like on the 23rd so far. Like, we can start playing the move them around game and that type of thing. I've never been this guy. The CONCACAF Champions Cup is cool and all. It's just that MLS Cups is what keeps people's jobs. And I just don't know how. Yes, winning it would be awesome, doing all that stuff. But, look at the roster and the way the LA Galaxy are currently configured. A little shallow in the places that you'd probably want them to be a little thicker in. Sanabria certainly helps. But what does that look like in CONCACAF Champions Cup? I don't know yet. I'll change my tune as soon as the Galaxy start winning games. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute.
I think the beauty of that is we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Because Greg Vanney is going to tell you what he prioritizes, because when you see the starting lineup for those, Triple C games,
right,
I think you're going to say, oh, Vanney wants to win these games. He's putting his players, but you're right. It is going to need to be a rotation basis, because that's how you need to gamble and make those decisions where, okay, at this point in the season, can we put MLS on the back burner, and knowing that there are 9 teams that make the playoffs and we can put our eggs in the Triple C basket, then that's something you may want to do. Or we may say, hey, this is a great experience. We're going to play teams from the region. Let's put our young guys out there, maybe our second stringers, get them the experience, get them the minutes, and then maybe that's your way to backfill and to build your depth.
Very well, could be. By the way, Pottermus asked Josh any stadium picture updates. Man, there's so many like videos and stuff out there right now of it all being done, but I don't know who owns them, and so I would like to try to get them from the source instead of stealing it from somebody who's already used it from somebody else. So yes, they're out there. You should go see it. They're on Instagram all over the place. Like, I keep stumbling across them everywhere I go. Take a look at them.
I want to take this moment to shout at people who are saying, oh, what, the seat color doesn't matter. It absolutely does matter. I think now that you see the videos of it completed and the cohesion with Victoria Block, it looks nice. Really, really sharp once it's all, you have that unifying color theme with the blue background.
The video today that I saw, or at least the picture I saw today, was at an angle that showed how the benches are now up, quote unquote, into the seats, because they moved seats down next to the. It's going to look really interesting and a little different than I think what the big long benches are out. I think that's gone. You're not going to see the big long benches anymore, except for CONCACAF stuff, because they usually have to mandate that they have the shelters over top of the stuff and that type of thing. So we'll keep an eye on that. David, $2 super chat. Could the Galaxy get Zardes since he's a free agent? They could, but do they need another right back? That's a joke. That's a joke, everybody. Ha ha.
And what's his price tag also?
Yeah.
I think he's an MLS veteran who has had contract increases just with the way things have gone. And I don't know that you want to pay a premium to have Giassi back on your team, as much as I would love that. I would love to have Giassi back on the team, adding to the depth, swap him, here we go, throwing Miguel Berry under the bus. Give me Zardes for Berry, put Zardes in the Berry spot. The Zardes victory cigar coming on late in the game to get you the insurance goal. I'm all in for that.
By the way, David, $2 super chat. Is Josh Saunders underrated as a goalkeeper? Yes, he was. In a strange, weird way, Josh Saunders absolutely was underrated, and in some ways he was probably overrated as well.
Doesn't get talked about enough is probably a fair statement.
Yeah, 100%. And then David goes, Galaxy should make Mike McGee the 5th goalkeeper. Well, he's always the 5th goalkeeper. I mean, that's the goalkeeper.
David, all over the super chats. Am I missing these?
Goalkeeper of my heart, Mike McGee. Yeah. Carlos, by the way, $10 super chat. Let's get some likes for the pod, everyone. So go ahead and hit that like button. We certainly appreciate it. And it would be great. Always helps us grow. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe as well. But thank you for that $10 super chat there, Carlos. Those.
Are we missing one? I see one from Gilberto. Do you see that one?
Did I miss it? Go ahead. Which one do you have?
It says $5 for Hammers airfare to the Coachella Valley Invitational 2026.
That is
so
right.
Again, 2025, not the Hammers year. Again, this time of year, tricky with family traveling. So again, let's put that. Yamane, Defender of the Year, Ruben Ramos Jr., young player. I already forgot his name. Spickner, spelled Spickner.
Spickner,
okay,
apparently. Ellis Spickner, yes.
I feel like
it feels wrong.
Canceled.
Yes, I know.
It feels like a slur.
I know.
I'm going to stay away from that one.
I know.
All right. So again, Hammer to Coachella Valley CVI 2026. Put it in the ether. We're going to make it work. I was like, man, I hope I said that right because I'm going to be in big trouble. All right, moving on.
What next? No, by the way, Ramirez is 5'8" and Joveljic is 5'11", but it's a tall 5'8". Is what I'm trying to say. Like he.
Are we seeing that right? I'm seeing 6'2".
No, I feel like that's people who are lying. I feel like that's. I feel like how the chat room likes to joke around a little bit.
It's like wrestling, right? You know, everyone's a little bit taller. Yeah, he's 7 foot tall. Maybe he's 6'5".
He's 5'10". He's 5'10" and a half. But no, it'll be certainly an interesting time. One of the things that the Galaxy highlighted today was that they had a special guest visiting at training today, and that's Lothar Oskander, who was the first coach for the LA Galaxy. Yeah, the original dude, 85 years old, by the way, 85. Coached the Galaxy in 96 and 97, so original guy there. Greg Vanney, obviously, and the coaching staff around Lothar there, so always fun to see that they return. But at 85, man, that's how long the league has been around. It's one of those, he wasn't a young chicken whenever he started. But
I didn't want to disparage the original LA Galaxy coach. I was like, was he 85 when he coached the Galaxy in 96? And again, that's being harsh, but again, he wasn't a young man when he coached the Galaxy. Several years ago. Yeah,
that's 100%. They're saying he's 6'2". That this Christian Ramirez
there's multiple Christian.
Well, of course
Ramirez's.
there is. That's as there are, as there should be. I imagine. Just a heads up, the running club, the G's Run LA, first run of the season is coming up Saturday, February 22nd, at Absolution Brewing Company in Torrance. If you haven't seen them on Twitter, go ahead, but you can get out there and you can go running. They have like a 3-mile route, I think, and then they have like the 4.8-mile route, and so like you can sort of ease into it. And then when you start and end your run at a brewery, that to me is my kind of running. I would.
That's no accident. That's on purpose. They know exactly what they're doing. Shout out to the Run Club.
100%. So they're in there as well. That's sort of where we sit. Hammer, is there? Let me see if I have anything else that I wanted to sort of get
breaking
to.
News? Did we sign any new players? Anyone?
No, I mean,
get shipped out. I think we're settling, right? I don't think we're gonna get Sanabria announcement. We're gonna get the Ramirez announcement.
Right, and then
no one else is leaving. I think this is.
You think you were there?
It's only going to be incoming from this point.
That is, we do get a chance to talk to Greg Vanney on Sunday. I'm going to be like, has the dust settled, Greg? Because he was like, you have to wait for the dust to settle. It's not dusty anymore, right? The dust has settled.
And then he's going to stare at the goalkeepers for a long time, and we're going to have to pick up on those hints.
He's going to line all four of them up right next to each other and have them play rock, paper, scissors in front of us. We get to vote them off the island. Remember when we did that at a live show where we voted Galaxy players off the island? Quick, Eric, the first player you vote off the island. So the idea is you take every player on the LA Galaxy, and then you have to vote them off. So who's the one you're keeping at the very end? But who's your first guy that you vote off the island, Eric?
Am I going to do it? The kid from Morgan State, who I'm not going to mess up.
He's a trialist.
He's not going to make. You're not going to get me in trouble, buddy. So again, you're off the team. You're off the island.
Eric Zavaleta, bye. See you later. Have a nice day. I'm just kidding, Eric. That's not nice. The LA Galaxy players and coaches are participating in the LA Galaxy's Foundation Golf Tournament presented by the Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel on Friday, February 7th. So look for pictures of all the guys playing golf. You know who's going to be, like probably one of the best golfers on the team is in recovery right now, Ricky Puig.
I was going to say, he's going to miss that more than he's going to miss.
He's going to be
CBI.
upset. Yeah. maybe he flies in. Somebody was asking me if he was back, and from everything I think he's still in Spain. I don't know that he's back.
He's active on social media, so he does post a lot, and it does make you think, is he back? Is he not? And maybe he's a world traveler. And the thing is, he he is working rehab. Is golfing one of the things that he can do while he rehabs? So maybe you see him out there. Who knows?
There's a shift. There's the weight shift that you got to worry
put it
about.
on the other knee.
You know, have
learn
you been watching any of the TGL? You're probably not a TGL guy, right? The golf league that's been played. That's the Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, where basically they play it on the golf simulator down in Florida, and then they have this whole thing. I really like it. I just like to say that
all right.
I like it.
While we're on the golf tangent, Christmas present for the kids, VR headset, mini golf in VR. Spectacular.
Really?
I'm having a great time playing mini golf because you get to do fun courses. So
you
get
for
courses
the kids.
That you can't really build in real life.
Right.
For the kids. Yeah. But once they go to bed, I go to the VR.
Yeah.
Do a couple holes of mini golf.
Right.
What a time to be alive.
I 100%. I mean, during it was you and I played some golf on the PlayStation during COVID, right? That was a good time.
It was a good time. Design your own golfer.
That's what TGL sort of reminds me of, is playing golf video games and that type of thing. Except it's like at a different thing. Anyway. There's a whole bunch of people that needs to get better. We're early days. I would like to throw in possibly doing a podcast for the TGL. I just saying, that LA has a team.
More podcasts.
That's what I need. Yeah, my wife.
Which day at the train club is going to get the axe for that?
My wife just fell off the chair in the next room. She's like, "What? Did I hear another podcast coming?" So anyway, anybody watch World Championships darts from Pottermas? That's what. Why can't darts be bigger here in the United States? Thank you.
The atmosphere for darts and soccer, there's a crossover there, and I think there's a little pro wrestling to it too, for people who are in on the joke.
Right.
And darts is electric when you watch the whole thing. I watched the finals with Luke Littler, Luke the Nuke. So again, if you're not into darts is amazing.
That's the atmosphere that TGL is missing, that they need to have. It's like they need to have I said the problem is there's too many VIPs sitting in the crowd right now. So, you got Mike Trout sitting there and he's not going to get up.
Yeah,
you need to invite the guys from
the VIPs.
Yeah, you need Florida State, to show up, that like the cheering the student section from Florida State to show up, and that will fix the whole thing. Let's see, lots of stuff. Somebody said that there was a new rumor posted on the Discord.
That's what a great tease to get people to move towards the Discord. Well done, Christopher.
I'm all about the Discord. That's all the fun stuff. Let's see. Will I say it? No, probably not.
All right. I got my final musing if we were looking for one more thing. Last week on the show, someone had mentioned Sean Davis's mother, former TikTok influencer, Linja. If you remember, she's passed away. But she was an older woman. She used to make these funny videos during, you had mentioned COVID, and that's what reminded me. At the time, she was just making great videos. And I remember it coming out that her son played in MLS. At the time, he played for the Red Bulls. And that unlocked, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's the guy.
That's the
one.
He
ended up in Nashville. And now we get, son of an influencer, of a legend, on our team, Sean Davis. So there's got to be that's got to be worth something, right? That's going to get some type of meme or some type of reaction. He's going to, pay some type of tribute. So for those of us who were, TikTok during the COVID era doing their thing, I think if you remember Linja, related to one of the LA Galaxy players now. So just kind of a cool little fun tidbit. I forgot who mentioned that in the chat last time I was on.
Right.
But, shout out to Sean Davis and his mother. Rest in peace there.
The rumor is Matheus Nascimento saying that basically he will not return to training and is expected to be loaned to the LA Galaxy and MLS. And whatever.
Is that a Brazilian?
I have no idea. I got
a Portuguese-ish last name.
Oh yeah, you're already like, he's my new favorite player.
Like, hey,
let me get that kit.
Some Nascimentos in the family. We'll see how it works.
Let me remind everybody, coming up on Sunday, that's this Sunday, you need to be out there. It will be at Coachella, February 9th. That is Super Bowl Sunday. But we will be out there following the LA Galaxy's match against Charlotte FC at 10 a.m. Probably right around 11:50, something like that is whenever we're going to start our show. But it will start immediately after the game. We're going to have an LA Galaxy player, Greg Vanney, Will Kuntz, Kobe Jones, Tom Braun, possibly Tom Bogert, and others as we see fit. If you walk by, we'll probably grab you and throw you on the microphone there, but we'd love to have you out there. Go buy your tickets, come visit us. It's going to be a good time, and we're looking forward to everybody being out there, but we want to thank the LA Galaxy for inviting us back out. We hope we're going to have a great show, and again, I'm going to try to stream that. At the worst, we will record the audio and of course provide the audio for that coming out. The Soccer Wise podcast that I did as well should be coming out, I think, sometime next week, and whenever that comes out, I will also distribute that on our channel because I thought it was at least an interesting talk, even if it's a little behind because because, of course, as soon as you talk anything about the LA Galaxy, they sign somebody or move somebody and, all that fun stuff.
I was going to say, speaking of, Feel the Berm in the chat, again, rumors only, but Matheus Nascimento is a forward, Brazilian, from Botafogo, so 20 years old. So, again.
U22?
U22. Feels like it fits in that. Well, another Brazilian with Pec to bounce off. I don't hate it. If it's true.
We'll see. I have to dig on that. Good thing
rumors
is
only. Way too early to call.
Too early to call. Good thing is I'll be around people on Sunday, so maybe we can find out some information on some of that. All right. Anything else that you would like to discuss there, sir?
I just say, to you and the Panda and all the crew podding this weekend, pod hard, pod strong. Wish I was there and have a great time.
All right. Tell people where they can find you. Let's get out of here.
All right, as always, you can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at HammerEV9, HammerEV and the number 9.
If you're looking for me on all social media channels at Galaxy Podcast, that's Instagram, that's X, that's Threads, that's Blue Sky. That's anywhere you can find it. Of course, Facebook, Corner of the Galaxy. Head on over to SoundCloud, YouTube, all those places. Type in Corner of the Galaxy, and you can find us. Subscribe, like. We certainly appreciate everybody tuning in with us. We can't wait to see you out there Sunday. Bring some sunscreen, folks. I know it's raining here right now. It ain't going to be raining in the desert, so head on out there. You don't want to get crispy, all right? For Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Pato Guesman. You've been listening to our little Corner of the Galaxy. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. Fans, we thank you for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye.